Hello everyone, my name is Mike Moran, and today we're going to be making a video about the reading of chapter 11 from the Believers superhero novel. So let me share my screen and we can get started. Here we go. All right, chapter 11, Dynamite City. After the hospital visit, Jerry asked Blake to drive him to Dynamite City. Blake agreed to drop him off at a gas station just outside of town. It was an hour-long drive, and Jerry spent his time wisely. While Blake was blasting music and driving, Jerry was meditating in the back seat. He spent the whole time imagining he was someone else, someone powerful and able to take bullets without a problem. He thought about movies, SWAT teams, superheroes, and other related things. When the car finally stopped, Blake looked back and did not even recognize Jerry. He looked different. Jerry, we're here. What happened to you? I'm in the zone, bro. I'm ready for battle, Jerry zealously responded. Blake still could not believe his eyes. He stared at Jerry and said, You look like a cyborg. How did you do that? And why do you sound different? I can do anything if I believe it's possible. And I'm telling you right now that it's taking all my concentration to do this, Jerry said, with a bit of blockage in his voice. Blake was worried that Jerry might be trying too hard and hurt himself. Blake looked at him carefully and asked, Are you going to be okay, Jerry? Yeah, as long as I stay focused and keep pretending that I'm not me for a while. Okay, whatever you say, bro, Blake replied, wondering why he was ever worried about a guy with superpowers. I can't stay here. It'll look suspicious. I'm going to a friend's house nearby. If you need anything, let me know. Jerry nodded and said, Got it. Thanks a lot, Blake. No problem, bro. Good luck. Jerry, now a 6 foot tall black cyborg, weighed at least 500 pounds. When Jerry stepped out of Blake's car, one could hear the car's shock absorbers groan of relief as the car's suspension lifted up to its normal position. Blake took a picture with his cell phone and drove off saying, You owe me another autograph. Vroom, put, vroom. Blake and his car struggled to leave the area, and Jerry chuckled to himself, wondering why the car had not yet died. Jerry tried walking around and even hopped a few times, but he felt stiff in his new form and needed time to get used to it. He tried doing push ups and jogged in a circle. Then he started shadow boxing, practicing the boxing techniques that Vaughn taught him. He eventually noticed a gas station clerk standing outside staring at him. He was an older man with glasses and a wrinkled work shirt. His mouth was wide open, and when Jerry tried to say something, the man ran back inside the gas station and locked the door. Jerry did not want to scare the man, so he left and started running toward Dynamite City. He was moving slowly at first, but he gradually gained momentum like a train and saw Dynamite City getting closer and closer. Jerry was thrilled, making choo choo noises and being caught up in the moment. At the peak of his excitement, he transformed into a train. His legs turned into wheels and he zoomed toward Dynamite City. However, he soon saw an abandoned building and realized a small problem. He did not know how to stop. He tried slowing himself down, but he was moving extremely fast, and the building was rapidly approaching. Jerry braced himself for impact and crashed through the building. Chunks of cement fell on top of him, but he barely felt any pain. Jerry was relieved that his cyborg armor actually worked. With increased confidence, Jerry walked out of the rubble and saw young people on the streets staring at him. Jerry was not expecting a welcoming committee. He thought Dynamite City would be a war zone. At least that is how people on the internet described it. Jerry called out, Has anyone seen three girls wearing black and red jackets? He tried walking toward them, but everyone ran away scared. Geez, don't everyone help me at once, Jerry thought to himself. He started looking around, walking down different streets and trying to approach people. Excuse me, have you seen three girls wearing black and red jackets? Jerry asked. Get lost, one man said. I don't talk to strangers, a woman replied. I'm busy, another man responded. Unfortunately, nobody would talk to Jerry, and he did not understand why. After several more failed attempts, he walked into a general store, but there were no customers. There was a variety of small food and drink items available for purchase, but Jerry did not care about any of that. All he wanted was to find the three girls responsible for Tanya's attack and bring them to justice. Jerry was beginning to lose hope when he found an old man sitting behind the store counter. His head was bald on top, and he had thin gray hair on the sides. He was reading a newspaper and watching a baseball game on TV. Jerry felt a calm blue aura radiating from the old man and sensed that he could trust him. Jerry approached the counter, and the old man said, Take off that crazy helmet. You'll scare away the customers. Sorry about that, Jerry replied, while removing his black helmet. The old man saw Jerry's face and looked surprised. You're just a kid. I can't believe everyone made such a big fuss over you. Jerry scratched his head and replied, I guess I'm full of surprises. The old man shook his head and said, You're obviously not from around here. What are you looking for? I'm trying to find three girls wearing black and red jackets, Jerry answered. Well, I've got good news and bad news, kid. Good news is they're right here in the city. Bad news is you'll never find them. They probably already know you're here, which means they'll hide like rats. And trouble might find you soon. I suggest you get out of here before anything bad happens. Jerry became frustrated and exclaimed, Darn it, I screwed everything up, but I can't disappoint Tanya. Those girls attacked her over a stupid soda bottle, and she ended up in the hospital. I gotta find them at all costs. On hearing those words, the old man quivered. He no longer felt relaxed. He became sad, anxious, and full of regret. He knew all the girls involved because the attack happened at his store. He put down his newspaper, stood up with renewed vigor, and marched around the counter. Now listen here, kid. Nobody else is getting hurt in my store. I'm sorry about what happened to your friend, but you gotta get out of here right now. They'll come after you. They might already be here. Put your helmet back on and get out now. The old man pushed Jerry out the front door, locked himself inside, and changed the open sign to closed. Jerry put his helmet back on and began walking down the street. He felt like a failure. The night was silent and pitch black, with nobody else walking around. The businesses were closed and lights were turned off. It seemed vacant, like a ghost town. Most people would feel alarmed in this situation, but Jerry was completely lost in thought. Failing to help Tanya deeply affected him, and he could not take his mind off the matter. As a result of being absorbed in his thoughts, he did not hear nor care about a car approaching from behind. He also did not notice a man reaching out of the back window with a baseball bat. As the car passed by, the man swung his bat and nailed Jerry in the back of the head. Jerry fell face first onto the concrete. He wasn't hurt, but the cheap shot routed his nerves. Feeling uneasy, he cautiously stood up. Then a gunshot hit him in the back, bouncing off his armor. Jerry started looking around for the shooter, but the streets were empty. A few seconds later, another gunshot ricocheted off his shoulder, but Jerry still did not know where it came from. Without warning, several gunmen started bombarding Jerry. He looked at an alleyway and saw bursts of gunfire coming from there. So he leapt forward, he leaped 40 feet over and cracked the floor upon landing. The gunmen were two thugs who continued firing in fear as Jerry grabbed them both and smashed them together like toys. They fell down, and more gunfire hit Jerry from behind. He saw gunmen hiding behind a dumpster on the other side of the street, and he blasted a fireball at them. They screamed and jumped out of its way as the dumpster blew past them and crashed into a wall at the end of the alley. More thugs were firing from inside an abandoned building, so Jerry leaped across the street and punched through the wall. Rebel fell on one guy's leg, and the other thug ran outside. Jerry grabbed the guy on the floor, pulled him out of the rubble, and yelled, "Where are the girls with black and red jackets?" "I don't know, man. They could be anywhere." Jerry dropped him, and the guy started limping away. Gunmen continued firing from another alleyway, so Jerry used his powers to lift up a huge slab of concrete from the sidewalk. Red energy glowed around the concrete, forcing it apart from the sidewalk. Then he launched it, slammed it against two buildings, and completely blocked off the alleyway entrance. A thug jumped out of a window from the second story of a building and landed on Jerry. He began stabbing Jerry's chest with a knife. Surprisingly, the knife partially penetrated his armor and made him bleed. Jerry grabbed the thug and slammed him into a nearby wall, knocking him unconscious. Unfortunately, the bleeding was causing Jerry to lose concentration, and his armor began shrinking. More gunfire pummeled Jerry, and it started to hurt. He felt welts of pain on his body and became scared that the bullets might soon penetrate his armor and skin. Jerry stopped everything he was doing, closed his eyes, and used his mind and senses to pinpoint the locations of all guns firing in the area. Then he used most of his remaining energy to crush the guns with a thought. His enemies made various noises, expressing shock and disbelief as they saw their own guns implode. Jerry's armor completely faded, and he was now defenseless. He used his last bit of adrenaline to run as fast as he could out of the city. Gang members tried catching up to him on foot, but he narrowly escaped. Luckily, Blake was waiting at the Dynamite City limit sign. Jerry saw him and jumped into the backseat of the car. "I had a feeling you were in trouble," Blake said. "I didn't hear from you in a while, so I left my friend's house and got here as fast as I could." "Whew, thanks, Blake. I'm exhausted. I'm going to pass out. Wake me up when we get back to Vaughn's house." "No problem, bro. But you still owe me an autograph tomorrow." Jerry laughed and said, "Sure thing, man. Thanks again." Then he fell asleep. As Blake tried driving away, however, his car began having trouble. Put, 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 put. Then the engine died. Blake tried starting it again, but it wouldn't turn over. He began panicking and yelled back at Jerry, "Wake up, man! Wake up! The car's not starting, and I don't know what to do." Jerry woke up quickly, but did not have the energy to stand up, and his super hearing warned him that gang members were coming after them in cars. He closed his eyes and concentrated, using his mind to probe Blake's car and find the problem. Sure enough, he discovered Blake's fuel filter was clogged. "When's the last time you changed your fuel filter?" Jerry asked weakly. "Never," Blake replied. "Can't you use your powers to fix it?" "I can try," Jerry responded doubtfully, not knowing if he had enough energy to do it. In his mind, he could see the fuel filter clogged with dirt. He knew he could not burn away. That would cause an explosion and blow up the car. His super hearing also interrupted his concentration, reminding him that the gang members were approaching fast. Jerry once again focused on the fuel filter and created a bubble around it. He began sucking the dirt out of the filter and into his bubble. Blake looked back and saw headlights in the distance, so he nervously said, "Come on, Jerry, hurry up! They're coming!" Jerry did his best to ignore Blake, but he too could hear the cars racing toward them. He continued focusing on the rubble, which was now full of dirt. Straining his mind beyond the limits, he transported the bubble of dirt into Blake's exhaust pipe. A gunshot shattered the back window of Blake's car, and he screamed, "We gotta go now!" Give it all you've got, Jerry yelled. Blake turned the key and pressed the gas pedal all the way down. The car started and the exhaust pipe exploded, creating a huge cloud of black smoke. Blake's car zoomed forward like a rocket and left the gang members behind. They tried following Blake's car, but they were too slow and could not see through all the smoke. Blake cheered and thanked Jerry, but Jerry had already passed out, and there was no chance of waking him up again anytime soon. So that's it. That's the end of chapter 11. I hope you all really liked it. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'll see you again for the next video in chapter 12. Thanks again, everyone.